My name is Magnus Skogberg. I'm heading the HX activities within Saab, and truly happy to be here together with my colleague Fredrik, as well as Jan Levenstam, here somewhere in the background, out there. Thank you very much for this occasion for us, that we can come and talk a little bit about Saab, about Gripen, as well as GlobalEye, and we'll also highlight some of the things we're doing this week as we're performing the HX challenge. And the agenda we have prepared is that we start off with some overall updates on Saab, talk about our company, what it is, the background, and then we will come into the HX program more specifically. We'll talk more about the Gripen capabilities, highlight what we're doing this week, and there will be enough time, I think, for questions and so on. I will start off, and then after a while Fredrik will continue, and let's see if we do that before or after the break. It depends a little bit how we use the time here. Fredrik will come and complement and go a little deeper into the GlobalEye side. So, I shall also say, perhaps just, I wanted to highlight also that we very much appreciate the cooperation, the long-term cooperation we have together with the Finnish, the association or society of aviation museum here in Finland. I think it's rewarding for us to see so many people interested, and as Janne was mentioning, we've had these types of briefings in many cities, and not least in Helsinki, and glad you came. And we're supporting these activities, and we've also arranged a donation to the new museum that is being planned for and constructed at the Malta airport. So, having said that, over to Saab, and the Saab Group is a broad defense and security company. We cover a number of areas within defense, and you can see here that it's not only fighter aircraft. Also in our group we have a broad range of radar systems. We have up to the right modern airborne early warning and control systems that we will hear more about tonight. There aren't that many companies offering highly sophisticated submarine systems. However, Saab is one of them. We're providing the most advanced diesel-electric submarines, I think, existing in the world today. Down on the right side, you see a number of surface vessels. That's an important segment of ours, with command and control systems, integration of weapon systems. We have a part of our organization working with weaponry. It is everything from shoulder-launched systems like Carl Gustaf and RBS-70, as well as anti-tank and law systems, and many of those are in use in Finland today. So, just to bear in mind that it's a broad defense and security company. However, it all started off back in the 1930s within aviation. Saab was formed to respond to a need of security of supply, the capability in Sweden to design, develop and produce fighter aircraft. And since then we've gained quite a lot of experience. We have built more than 5,500 aircraft and 80 years of experience. You can see here many of the different types on the left-hand side, and in the middle part you see not only Gripen and GlobalEye, but as well on the upper right the program TX or T7 Red Hawk that we are running together with Boeing, developing and delivering to the US Air Force the latest generation trainer aircraft. And that was a clean sheet design, and we started that cooperation a number of years ago, and we won the contract a couple of years back, and the contract is for 351 aircraft, and this is just the starting point, so that's very important for us. You see also the unmanned combat aerial vehicle technology demonstrator Neuron that we were running together with other industries. We initiated that program in 2003 and we were more or less finalizing in 2013, but it shows a number of important activities within aviation. We're about 17,000 employees in the group. We are truly global in our operations. We sell to customers every year in more than 100 countries. We have our own operations in around 35 countries with development, production and or sales and marketing offices. And as you can see on the middle part, the chart, pie chart in the middle, around half of the turnover is relating to aviation. That's the single most important segment. Here in Finland we have a long history. We established the activities back in the 1940s. And we have about 120 employees at a number of different locations, as you can see here. We have our head office in Helsinki, but here, just 100 or 200 meters here, quite close by, we have our office in Tampere. And here we are running both research-related and technology development-related activities when it comes to advanced electronics, microwave electronics relating to electronic warfare systems, and we have as well, since some years back, a long-term cooperation with the Aalto University set up, where we are investing 20 million euro in advanced electronics and microwave technology, because we find here in Finland the top-notch, knowledgeable people in these fields. To some extent we have vacuum clean Sweden in certain areas, and here we find a perfect match. So we're really happy for this. We're running around 10 research programs right now together with Aalto, and we have a number of industrial PhDs and a lot of researchers working here. In Tampere, in our technology center, not only we do development work relating to electronic warfare systems, we're also setting up a system center specializing in command and control systems in relation to the Squadron 2020 program. And that's a way of making sure that we build the capabilities here in country that will be needed for the long-term operation of the naval vessels. As you may know that we were contracted last year to deliver the new surface vessels to the Finnish Navy. And in addition to that program, recently we have initiated other important programs, the midlife upgrade of the Hamina class. We are delivering new torpedo systems for the Finnish Navy, as well as advanced simulators to the Army. And down on the bottom part of the slide you can see that the installed base with the Finnish Defence Forces is quite wide, and we have an excellent cooperation with a truly knowledgeable customer in all fields, Army, Navy and Air Force. The HX program is for us important. We're committed since a number of years back. We started off with the early fact-finding activities that the Air Force were conducting back in 2012-13 to support them in this. And we do this, we engage this heavily because we see a lot of logic of why Finland could come to a decision to procure the package we are offering. And through the presentation tonight, hopefully it will be clear for you the logic we see, and that you may share all or parts of that. Let's see. Right now we're conducting flight evaluations, something called the HX Challenge at the Pirkkala Air Base. And that is part of the broader data substantiation activities where each contender comes and shows and make sure it is credible and that the data we are submitting in our offers are correct. That's the whole idea around that. I'll come back to that later on. And we're just also this week submitting our updated offer to the HX program that we have worked on during autumn last year and the beginning of this year. And there is a lot of dialogue we had together with the Finnish HX team. There are so many parameters to think about, and I think it's wise that they have understood that it takes dialogue, workshops, negotiations to make sure that we understand each other. So we have quite big teams here regularly to discuss through technical things, security of supply, support-related things, etc., etc. On top of that, we have a lot of dialogue with Finnish industry, and I'll later talk about the industrial participation program. Gripen, what we really are offering here is the latest version of Gripen, the Echo Foxtrot, Echo for single seat, Foxtrot for two-seat version. This machine is built to handle the most advanced adversaries and threat systems that we can come to think of. It's really built for the environment in this region. It is built for the operational context in many senses, also how it's being used. I'll touch upon that later on with road bases and so on. Gripen Echo Foxtrot offers the latest available technology. There is no later aircraft design available on the market today. There are other designs that may look quite futuristic, but they are from the 90s. This is the most modern one. And we've worked a lot to make sure that it's future-proofed. And we've made that by designing the avionics system in a smart way. Also, from the starting point, the cost efficiency is key. And as we see it, it is important to be able to maximize the operational effect out of a given budget. And if we're not cost efficient, then the operators cannot afford to buy enough fighters, or they may not be able to operate them if they're too expensive. So this is really an edge for us. Where we are right now in the update program for Echo Foxtrot version that we started off in 2013 and 14 with the contracts together with Sweden and Brazil, is that we're running the test and verification phase. Already in 2017, we had a fully qualified software with our new avionics system on board. And right now we focus on testing out especially the weapon systems, the tactical functions, etc. And when it comes to flight envelope expansion and basic aircraft characteristics, most of that is already handled. We use 4 test aircraft, that 9-7, 8, 9 and 10, as well as we've delivered, as you can see here from last year, the first serial aircraft to our customers in Sweden and Brazil. We are conducting joint test and verification work as planned together with those customers right now. So all in all, there are 6 aircraft being operated. The deliveries are speeding up during this year, and we're aiming at a yearly production rate of 24 aircraft. So that's where we are today. The aircraft are showing really great performance and behavior as expected. And this means that we are well in line with the time schedule of the HX program, where deliveries are to start from 2025 and continue up until 2030. So it's a good timing. This is the way it looks like in the Gripen Echo Foxtrot. And as you can see here, it's a truly modern human-machine interface. We have a wide area display where the pilot can see all the information needed. And we put a lot of effort into research and development here, because it does not matter how much technology you pour into this type of system. If you cannot convey the message, the information in a smart way to the pilot, it doesn't make any sense. the right information at the right time in order to be able to make quick decisions. That is key. In addition to a wide area display, also there is a helmet-mounted display system, but the most important thing is perhaps the big step we've taken. With Echo Foxtrot, the pilot is no longer controlling each sensor individually. The pilot is defining a volume of interest. It's either a box in the air or a square on the ground, saying that here, in this area, I'd like to know exactly what's happening. And then the sensor control system of Gripen is optimizing the use of all the available sensors on board, as well as information from the data links, tactical data links. The information is fused and a holistic, aggregated situational awareness picture is presented to the pilot, together with a lot of decision support on what to do or not to do in order to increase the probability of mission success and or survival, depending on the situation. So this is truly unique, and a number of such volumes of interest can be used at the same time. And that means we can follow what's happening in different parts of the airspace, as well as different important spots on the ground. And the whole result is that the pilot can focus more on the tactical task than working and manipulating with the different sensors individually. So this is one of the biggest steps we take when it comes to how the pilot is operating the system. And we gain from that the possibility of swinging this wheel quickly, the OODA loop, supporting the pilot quickly to observe, to see what's happening around and orient him or herself, to see what does this mean to me. And it pushes for quick decisions and the possibility to act. Not only we need to know where we are, we also need weapons to have a tangible effect in the target or deterrence. And in the traditional setup, if you buy a fighter from country X, you end up with weapons from that country. We've taken the approach of the integrator to pick the best weapons from the best suppliers worldwide and built in a lot of flexibility when it comes to weapons. We've gained experience of integrating weapon systems from many countries of origin. And we think this is important because over the life cycle of an aircraft, that may be 30 years or more, there is a natural tendency that you may want to change or replace a missile system once or twice during this platform lifespan. And the way Gripen is built, this is really a thing that is doable with quite a small effort, and it's being done quickly. So I think flexibility is the key word when it comes to weapons. Then we would like our pilots to stay alive, to get back home, and we'd like to use our aircraft more than once. And that's where the electronic warfare systems come in for self-protection. And I think it's not an exaggeration to say that we feel we are one of the front runners and world leaders within this segment. We've been working with electronic warfare systems back since the 1950s. And if you compare what we already have in the operational version, Gripen Charlie Delta, you need to look at very specialized electronic warfare platforms to compare something similar. We take this high level of capability yet another step with Echo Foxtrot. It's a truly unique electronic warfare system, 360-degree spherical coverage with radar warning receivers, missile approach warners, and all the active countermeasures, chaff systems, flares, and to this quite advanced jamming capabilities. So this is an area where we are excelling. And not only we're using this for self-protection, more and more there are situations where you would like to actively disturb or paralyze or hinder the opponent from using their sensors. stopping them from being able to use the ground-based air defense sensors to track and potentially to harm your aircraft. And we do this by jamming, sometimes referred to as electronic attack, or SEAD, suppression of enemy air defense type of missions. The onboard electronic warfare system of Gripen Echo Foxtrot has this electronic attack built in. And depending on the frequency range you need, you can complement also with additional jammer pods and or decoy systems to get it even more powerful. Up to the right here, you see our latest version of an advanced electronic attack jammer pod, where we are right now conducting flight test activities. We started that back in November last year. And you can see here also the benefits with a two-seat Gripen, but this representing the front seat, and here you have the back. Where for advanced electronic warfare missions, you can have the possibility of having two pilots or two operators on board that can share this. And not only you can use the sensors and electronic warfare on your own platform, you can in a coordinated way, automatically through the system, use the jamming capability of several aircraft that are part of the same tactical air unit for a full and time synchronized jamming effect. So with Gripen Echo Foxtrot, you have an extremely powerful electronic attack and electronic warfare platform. Then we need to be able to operate in everyday situations and conditions, and Gripen is built for harsh climates. It's built for road-based operations, for simple and easy maintenance with conscript mechanics. You can do a turnaround within less than 10 minutes for an air-to-air mission with full refueling, rearming, and it doesn't take more than 5 conscript mechanics and 1 certified technician to do this. And I think this is something where you wouldn't see other aircraft types coming near. It is building capability for sortie generation. This means for every Gripen, we can generate more air power. And also if it comes to a need of changing an engine, that we can do within less than 1 hour. And that's really amazing. So the design of Gripen, I think to a large extent is designed for the operational context we see here in Finland. I said that Echo Foxtrot is future-proofed, and we know that no matter how excellent fighter we design today, there will be new threat systems emerging, and there will be new tactics from the opponent, and we need to stay alert and adapt to this. It's an ever-changing thing. Nothing is completely fixed, especially not over a life cycle of 30 years. And traditionally, so-called midlife upgrades have been done once or twice during the lifespan. With Gripen, already the Alpha Bravo and Charlie Delta versions, we took another approach to make sure that we can work with continuous capability growth so that we can minimize the gap between the operational needs and what the system can deliver in terms of capability. And with the Echo Foxtrot, we take this yet another step forward. We can take even smaller steps, and this is thanks to our unique avionics architecture. And the secret behind this, we are separating the flight critical part of the software from the mission-related functions. The flight critical part is something that you do not need really to change that so often. However, on the tactical side, new functions are always interesting. And why you traditionally have been kind of avoiding doing changes continuously is because whenever you change in a little corner, you will have an indirect kind of change to the overall software load, and airworthiness regulations implies that you need to requalify and recertify the whole software. And that is for us history. We've separated this, and that means we can do updates, we can download new functions on the tactical side without at all interfering with the flight critical part. Nobody else has done this before. And it took quite an effort and investment to do it, but we feel confident it will pay off over the complete life cycle. The adaptability is at a very high level. Not only we can introduce new functions, we can also change the computer hardware platform easily without interfering with the software, because we have a layer in between hardware and software in a smart way. And that means we can quickly adapt and utilize when we have new computation power and new processors being available. So build for the future. For the HX program here in Finland, we are offering a combination of Gripen Echo and Foxtrot, so both the single-seat and the two-seat version. And not only the aircraft is part of this, we also have quite a package to make sure that all the services and support equipment are included for the operations. The simulators, the mission planning and debriefing systems, mission equipment like pylons, drop tanks, launchers, as well as a substantial weapons package. So in the HX program, it's not only the aircraft, it's a full set including the weapons. And here we really gain from our long-term experience, and I won't go into the detailed configuration, but there are a number of different highly sophisticated weapons that are included. In-service support for the 5 first years is something that we think is good to have included, because it supports a smooth introduction of Gripen into Finland. And a substantial industrial participation program as well is a part of this, and the aim of that is to build security of supply. And on top of the Gripens, we also have the airborne early warning and control system GlobalEye part of this. And the HX program is a functional acquisition, and that means there are tasks presented, situations, and it is up to us to describe and come up with a suggestion on how we could match this in a good way. And we see that with an airborne early warning and control system being the most advanced available today, we can provide a strategic asset, a 24/7 airspace, land and sea surveillance possibility. And this is building much greater situational awareness, working for and supporting territorial integrity of Finland. And together with Gripen Echo Foxtrot, the GlobalEye, as we see it, is bringing not only for the Air Force interesting capabilities, but for the wider Finnish Defence Forces, also for the Navy and the Army. And now my colleague Fredrik will talk a little bit more about GlobalEye. Please, Fredrik.
See if I can be clearly heard in the back as well. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Very good, thank you. Good afternoon or good evening, everybody. My name is Fredrik Folin. I'm sort of heading the GlobalEye segment within HX. So, GlobalEye. As Magnus briefly mentioned, it is an asset that is complementing the Gripen system in a truly unique way. It provides vital intelligence for the entire Finnish Defence Forces structure in all domains. It increases the coverage dramatically if you compare to having just only ground-based sensors, ground-based radars. And by so, it will provide you with extensive pre-warning time. Pre-warning time that can be translated into lots of minutes, 20 minutes, 30 minutes. We'll come back to that later. It also offloads the HX fighter fleet quite substantially, meaning that in times of crisis, where you may want to fly around with your fighter system in order to keep track of what's going on, then you will have a wear and tear factor on your fighters, regardless of which fighter you're flying. Having just one GlobalEye in the air, maybe two, would mean that you can keep your assets safe on ground, ready to perform if so needed. And when the conflict arises, then you will have the maximum capability ready for your benefit. And this is also important for the Navy as well as for the Army. So there you have the joint effect again. Additionally, it's equally important to have the ability to stay up in the air for long periods of time. The Saab selection of the Bombardier Global 6000 family has led to the fact that we will now offer at least 11 hours airborne time on a mission. Many times, much more than so. Magnus mentioned that we've been building aircrafts for 80 years. You may also know that we've been building radar systems for over 60 years. And the radar family is now represented in all domains as well. We have it in GlobalEye, of course. We have it in the Giraffe radars on land. And we also have it in, for instance, in the Squadron 2020 program. So the competence gained throughout those 60 years is now represented in all domains in our entire product family. Apart from that, we have also been in the airborne early warning and control business for the past 25 years. And by so, we have the broadest customer base, user base in the world. 8 countries with over more than 25 systems delivered in total is unprecedented. And the experience in various platforms goes from the Saab 340 family, which is the platform actually used today by Sweden when it comes to airborne early warning and control. We've done it on the Saab 2000 platform, we've done it on the Embraer platform, and now we've selected the Global 6000 family for it. And it is quite a big task to take a civil airliner like the Saab 340, the Saab 2000, the Embraer, or the GlobalEye, the Bombardier aircraft, and convert it into an airborne early warning and control system. That is a skill set that is quite unique that Saab has within its system. Just to give you a highlight of what it actually means that the Earth is round. Some may say the contrary, but we think that the Earth is round as well. So if you have a ground-based radar, you put it on a mast, let's say 100 meters tall. The line of horizon from that 100 meters will be about 40 kilometers out. That means that if something is coming on a very, very low altitude, maybe even on the surface, you will have a very short time to react, maybe too little time to react. Illustrated by, in this case, a couple of fighters coming in at different altitudes. So what we're doing is that we take this elevated sensor, we put it high up in the sky, well above 35,000 feet, that is about 11,000 meters. And by so we are able to look not only down on surface and sea, but also through the entire sky. That will give us an extension of the low-level coverage over at least 10 times. And as I said, if you translate that into pre-warning time, we can add maybe 20, maybe 30 minutes, depending on how fast the object is flying, to give you time to react. And take that into your operational context. You may have different backgrounds and skill sets from the defense forces. What would it mean to have 20, 30 minutes extra pre-warning time from what you were used to? I took the liberty here to place one GlobalEye in the mid part of Finland, just to illustrate the coverage range that we have to offer. The outer blue line, the ring rather, represents the instrumented range of the system. And now we should remember that it's not only about radar. The radar is there to allow you to detect anything that has a radar cross section. A fighter, a helicopter, a jet ski, maybe even a periscope sometimes. And the onboard electronic warfare system will pick up anything that is emitting a signal within the frequency range of choice, of course. So this means that it will be nearly impossible to fly around or move undetected when GlobalEye is in the air. The inner green ring represents the line of sight. Even though we're flying quite high, the Earth is still round even if you have a GlobalEye in the sky. And that is 450 kilometers from this altitude represented. So instrumental range 550 kilometers and line of sight 450 in this case. If we look inside the aircraft, it is a civilian aircraft at start. What we've done is that we've taken it to Sweden, we take it pretty much all apart and we rebuild it with the sensors and equipment that needs to be installed. So in the aft section of the aircraft you will find all the hardware that is needed in order to power and supply the sensor systems on board. The mid section is the mission operator area. In our case we have selected a suite of 5 mission operators sitting side by side. Each operator can work independently with one specific task, or he or she can co-share a specific task with one of the other operators on board the aircraft. So it's extremely flexible from a command and control point of view. In front of that section we have a commander or rest area. Imagine if you're flying around for 11-12 hours or so, you may want to have time to maybe have something to eat, go to the restroom, just to sit down and refocus in order to go back and perform again. So there is a possibility for the relief crew on board as well. In the front, we naturally, as traditionally, have 2 pilots, and they will enjoy the benefit of flying the most advanced avionics system available today on the market. The outer furnishing of the aircraft, of course, I'm not sure if you can see it on the back. On the back of the aircraft we have the Area extended range radar. That is the primary radar sensor on board this aircraft. We also have furnished it with the electronic warfare, electronic support measures, which is placed on various parts of this aircraft. In the back we have a self-protecting system allowing you to increase the likeliness of still being safe if you are being sort of targeted upon. Naturally, we have the within the command and control suite, we have the communications nodes that is requested in order to be able to communicate to the outside world. Communicate to the Gripens tactically, communicate to the C4I chain as well. Dispersed operations is of utmost importance in times of crisis and in times of conflict. It is important that you can move around your asset in order to stay unpredictable for the potential adversary. We need about 2 kilometers of runway to operate this aircraft. And as you can see, there are quite a few airports available today in Finland that will allow you to move around GlobalEye as a strategic asset tactically to stay safe and to be more unpredictable. So, GlobalEye as a strategic asset for Finland. It is a true multi-role airborne early warning and control system for air, land and sea purposes. It provides you with ultra-long-range ISTAR. ISTAR standing for intelligence, surveillance, reconnaissance, and if worst comes to worst, also target acquisition. It is also there to balance a potential adversary's capability. We know for a fact that on the eastern side, they're operating the A-50 or soon as well the A-100, and it is there for a reason. It is there for the specific and exact reason that we think it should be natural to have that same capability as a nation. It provides you with extended pre-warning time for first strike survivability and also to reduce the wear and tear factor. It detects, identifies and tracks what otherwise cannot be seen or may be seen at a too late stage. Having GlobalEye will also allow you to what we would like to refer to as sort of silent behavior. You may not need always to be flying around emitting with a Gripen fighter. You can stay silent with a Gripen fighter. You can stay silent with your GBAD system. You can stay silent with your Navy. Still knowing that you have a recognized air picture, a recognized maritime picture. You can rely on that, stay silent, be more unpredictable, and by so you will be able to counter any attack that comes your way. And naturally then it will secure the optimal use of all assets throughout the entire defense forces. That was actually my last slide. I'm happy to take questions afterwards when we are sort of completed with the briefing. Okay.
It is, we were just thinking, is the coffee ready?
Yeah, it should be.
In that sense, we could take the break now, because then afterwards we can continue with this part, what we're doing here, and we have some more parts as well before we come to the summary.
Just check if it's ready.
Okay. Then we stay calm, wait a couple of seconds, and see how we use the time. So we have made a decision. We will do this way. In 5 minutes, the coffee will be ready. So I'll talk a little bit around this slide right now and what we're doing. And after that, we go for a break before continuing. The HX challenge is ongoing right now. You may have noticed in media that we were landing in with Gripen yesterday under heavy snowfall and really to a wintry landscape of the Pirkkala Air Base. And we're happy to take part in the evaluations of the HX challenge with Gripen. We're using 2 aircraft from the Gripen family, as well as with GlobalEye. We've landed in already with the Gripen Echo 39-10, so the third test aircraft from the serial production line that we've been flying a couple of years. Also we have the Gripen Echo 39-7, which is a sensor development aircraft, and that is not coming from the serial production line. We have been using it a number of years in the Gripen Echo Foxtrot program to test out the functionality of the new systems. So it's from the beginning a rebuilt Delta version, and it has all the sensors with infrared search and track, with the new radar system. It has the new engine that the Echo Foxtrot family has, and all the differences when it comes to the structure, with much more internal fuel, and that has been a very smart move. We have the avionics functionality in the back seat of that one, and in the front we're using the Gripen Charlie Delta avionics, and that has been a good contributor of speeding up the development and testing phase in an excellent way. So we've set up together with the Finnish Air Force quite a substantial test program. We cannot go into all the details here, but it is all about data substantiation. And that means we are flying a number of test sorties and doing test points where we are showing the capabilities of our radar, of our electronic warfare system, the infrared search and track, etc. So showing that the information we are stating in our response and the documentation to the customer is accurate and correct. And I think it's a very wise way the customer is doing it. We're also testing flight characteristics and basic aircraft functionality, obviously. We are, and we have been up and flying more or less the whole day, and many people have been able to follow it on Flight Radar 24, the GlobalEye. And there is a team from the Finnish Air Force, of course, that are on board in these flights, and to be able to see how the system is working. So we're really happy for this, and in a larger sense, the HX challenge is one part of the evaluations. But we've started the activities already last year, and we're using simulators, network simulations for advanced mission and tactical scenarios, where we have the Finnish Air Force coming to Sweden, where we've set up all this, and we go through the concepts of operations we have developed and saying that this would be the way we could solve your task. And we will continue with a number of activities also after the HX challenge during this year, where we will continue to demonstrate functionality. So HX challenge is not all, but it is perhaps the most symbolic part of the evaluation activities. So I think, sorry, and down to the left you can see a photo from when the aircraft was taxiing here after landing recently at Pirkkala. So that was what I intended to say around this. I suggest that if coffee is more or less ready, we take a break here now, and then we have some more slides after the break, and there is plenty of time for questions and dialogue on top of that. So I hope the cake and the coffee was appreciated. Before forgetting it, we saw that there were a couple of nice books and calendars and other things from the Aviation Museum Society. We don't want to be kind of uprunners and kind of being in competition, but just a reminder, please, and this is for free. This year's Saab Gripen calendar is on a tray here, or a trolley just outside the door, so you can have one before you leave tonight. We have talked about what we are offering in the HX program before the break, and as you may understand, it's quite an extensive set of equipment that needs to be handled by an operator. We talked about not only the aircraft but the support systems and everything that needs to be maintained and connected into the infrastructure. And that is why we are carefully, together with the customer, looking into what would it take to introduce Gripen and GlobalEye in Finland. We have done thorough site surveys, studying the maintenance capabilities of today, the equipment available, what possible changes that would be needed. And we come to a very clear conclusion that introducing Gripen and GlobalEye in Finland is a very smooth task. It is not costly, it does not take too much time, so it is easy to introduce these systems. More or less the existing maintenance facilities can be used with small or minor adaptations, and we see that when it comes to environmental conditions, noise levels, etc., it wouldn't be a burden of starting to operate these aircraft instead of what is being operated today. We can use the road bases existing today, and with the short takeoff and landing capability of Gripen, many more can actually be quickly arranged if needed. Gripen does not need any fixed installations like arresting wires. It's just an 800-meter long highway strip. And it is, or both Gripen and GlobalEye are fully NATO interoperable and connectable and compatible with the command and control infrastructure in Finland, sometimes referred to as the C4I infrastructure, information technology and networks to handle all the cooperating elements of the wider Finnish defense forces. So a smooth and simple operational start. Security of supply is more or less a religion, I usually say, here in Finland, and we're impressed to see the capabilities built up within the Air Force, but also within industry, Patria, Insta, and other actors as well, to make sure that there are capabilities needed for the long-term operation sustainment and also further development of the systems. And we have put a lot of effort into setting up a solution to make sure that these capabilities are there for Gripen and GlobalEye. And there are two drivers for us here. First, to make sure that the capabilities are there for availability of aircraft. The other part is to make sure that we establish capabilities so that we can keep the systems operationally relevant in Finland over the whole life cycle. On the upper part here, we design a support solution that is quite advanced. We're establishing a lot of capabilities. Between 80 to 90% of all the the faults that you are kind of from the simulation getting that that this is probably what will happen with the different subsystems of the aircraft. 80 to 90% of these activities and these faults can be handled within Finland with the capabilities that we are setting up. On the lower part, we're suggesting the establishment of a development or a system center. And that is all the information and data needed, together with integration rigs, together with development software, so that we can use this beauty of how the system is being designed, so that within Finland, the Finnish Defence Forces, in close cooperation with local industry as well as us, can introduce these new tactical functions in a smooth way over the life cycle. And exactly how this could be set up, it's an operator and Finnish Air Force decision. We see obviously a good logic of this type of center here in Tampere, being a city or the aviation capital, I'd say, of Finland, with the industry, the logistics command and the Air Force. And we think that this is an area where we have a lot of things to offer. And one way of creating security of supply is industrial participation. And we have worked since many years back with Patria, Insta and others to define the projects to support security of supply. To build the capabilities needed for high availability of aircraft, we suggest to involve Finnish industries heavily in the production and delivery phases of the program, both using on-the-job training, courses that they take part in the activities back in Sweden. But not to forget, an important element is that we're suggesting parts production and also final assembly of both engines and aircraft here in Finland, because that is building the capability that you can use in the maintenance, repair and overhaul. And we have a suggestion where quite a substantial proportion of the aircraft will be built here in this country. And then we are working together with Finnish industry and perform a main part of the maintenance, repair and overhaul work here in Finland already during the phasing in period 2025 to 2030. For the second part, in order to establish the long-term capabilities of further adaptations, we have both the participation of Finnish industry in the specific work we do when it comes to Finnish-related functions and adaptations. And we are working alongside Finnish industry to establish this system center, as well as we are operating it together. And this shall not be understood as a separate organization, but a way of, hopefully at a single location, co-locating activities and resources from the Air Force, the Logistics Command, local industry, and us being the manufacturer for an optimal and efficient use that supports the long-term operation, sustainment and further development. So we have a lot of discussions on exactly how this will be done, but we think this is a strong point. And we discussed over the coffee break that it is important not to package this type of programs in a black box approach. So we are open to transfer quite a great deal of capabilities and deep technological knowledge. And that is needed for the long-term operation. And we think this could be a wise way of doing it. The HX program is a big investment for Finnish taxpayers. It's a big program for the Finnish Defence Forces, and there has been a design to cost approach set for this, meaning that 10 billion euro is the ceiling towards which all the candidates in this race will define a solution for. And there is a small reduction for the internal cost of the Finnish Air Force, and that may be slightly different from candidate to candidate. But all in all, this is the ballpark where each and every candidate is defining a solution. And of course, what we are submitting now in our revised RFQ response, our revised offer, we are respecting this budget, and we are trying to maximize the operational capability with Gripen Echo, Gripen Foxtrot, and the GlobalEye. And not only the acquisition budget is a constraint or something that we need to respect. It is also said that the yearly cost of operation and sustainment for HX must not be more than what it is costing today to operate and sustain the Hornet system, or the 62 Hornets still in operational use. Gripen and GlobalEye are both designed to be cost efficient, and we think that it's hard to beat us on this. And not to forget the last point here, whatever you buy right now, this needs to evolve over time. And the whole design is meant to be upgradable in a smooth way. And that is working for cost efficiency. Instead of paying a lot of money for unnecessary recertification of flight critical software if you're not really wanting to change that part when introducing a new tactical function. We have the technical design so that that is being avoided. And instead, the money you spend on further development is really resulting in additional functions for military capability. So affordability, that is a strong point for our offering. So this is our last slide tonight before the questions, and this is summarizing a little bit the logic we see why Finland should buy Gripen and GlobalEye. First and foremost, we do think that the systems are made for the situation we have. Gripen is made for the type of threats and the everyday use we see in this region. Gripen is built for road-based operations, harsh climate, conscript mechanics, easy maintenance. GlobalEye is a very strong force multiplier to this. And as we just saw on the previous slide, nobody beats us on cost. And cost efficiency directly translates back to operational capability. Security of supply is an area where we have not only the toolbox, but also the mindset and long experience of building capabilities in the countries to which we deliver these types of systems. And some of you may have been following our program in Brazil, where we have set up a production line, we've set up a development center. That's a very good example on how closely we work to build capabilities. Furthermore, we think that the timing is good. There is a tradition in Finland to procure proven and mature systems. Gripen is a proven and mature system, still with the Echo Foxtrot latest version, offering the latest available technology. There is no more modern fighter out there. GlobalEye is the latest and most powerful airborne early warning control system today in the world. And this is nothing that we started doing yesterday. We have a 25-year experience, and within the radar segment, up to, as Fredrik was showing, 60 years experience. So this balance between proven and mature and the latest and greatest technology. We also heard from the timings here. The time schedule of the HX program is fitting extremely well to where we are right now with Gripen and GlobalEye. So we have a number of years margin before deliveries will start to Finland. And we see that we are fully capable of delivering in time as requested for the HX program. Last but not least, we have as a company a very strong commitment here in Finland. And in a broader sense, given the political stance and aim in both of our countries for deepened defense cooperation, we see that that is a solid foundation for a long-term program a fighter aircraft acquisition is about. So this, ladies and gentlemen, this summarizes the logic we see. We hope that we have kind of made you see and follow some of this logic tonight, and by that we are concluding and summarizing our presentation, and we are happy to take your questions. Thank you for listening. So please don't be shy, use all your energy and imagination for intelligent questions.
Yksi semmoinen sarjakuva kysymys. Puhutaan vakoilusta ja voiko kyberhyökkäys häiritä lennolla Gripenin polttenohjausjärjestelmää?
So a question a little bit from the comic book world. If cyber attack could disturb the functions of the engine on the Gripen.
Well, actually, the cyber protection area is an important area where we're working a lot today. And not only the aircraft as such, but also the support systems, mission planning and debriefing. They are secured for those types of risks and tampering, and it's really part of the design.
Kyberuhat on tietysti pidetty keskiössä jo suunnittelualusta lähtien, eli tähän ei uskota, että sillä tämmöiseen pystytään tekemään. Että se on suojattu niiltä uhilta. Siellä oli kysymys, mä huomasin aikaisemmin, oli käsi ylhäällä keskellä. Onko vielä kysymys? Joo.
The engine of the new Gripen is GE 414, made in US, and you say that you can give the assembly of that to Finland. Is that really so?
It is really so.
Yeah.
However, we work closely together with General Electric on that matter.
Yeah.
So that is nothing that we just solely on our side can discuss and decide. So it takes many parties to the industrial participation program we are building up. We talk about more than 100 individual projects grouped in a number of different areas or IP or industrial participation programs. So we cooperate closely with General Electric on that topic, for instance, and with other partners on other areas.
Lyhyesti vaan niille, jotka ei ehkä englantia niin tehokkaasti ymmärrä, niin kysymys oli, että Magnus mainitsi esitelmässä, että myös moottoreiden kokoonpanoa tarjotaan Suomeen. Ja kysymys oli, että onko tosiaan niin vastaus on kyllä, sitäkin tarjotaan. Ja tietysti tämä ei ole asia, mitä Saab voi itsenäisesti tarjota. No, General Electricin moottorit, mutta tietysti General Electric on meidän kumppani, jonka kanssa tehdään läheistä yhteistyötä. Ja sen perusteella, mitä ollaan yhdessä sovittu, niin näin tosiaan asia on. Eli moottoreiden lopuksi tai kokoonpano on niin ikään mukana tarjouksessa, eli Suomessa ne kokoonpanot.
About the total operation cost, what is the portion of GlobalEye compared to Gripen or confidential information?
Yeah, we for competitive reasons we won't go into the details of that, and also as we have stated, we will not officially disclose how many Gripen aircraft exactly are part of this proposal. Or how many GlobalEye are part. It would be, hard to judge that proportion if you do not know how many against how many. I think that's what I can say on that. But one thing is that it's really the cost efficiency of the Gripen making it possible for us to suggest to include GlobalEye aircraft in this program. And still, we are within the budgetary frame of today's operational cost of 62 Hornet.
Can you provide us with the number of Gripens Brazil and Sweden are intending to procure?
Sweden has, we have a contract to deliver 60 aircraft to Sweden, Echo. And to Brazil, it is 36 aircraft, out of which 8 are the twin-seat configuration Foxtrot.
So about 100?
About 100, that is correct, yes. And Sweden is at the same time operating and will continue to operate a large number of their Charlie Deltas.
And I can also complement...
What do you feel are the most potential countries, in addition to Finland, to purchase EF-hanke?
We have a long-term target to sell another 400-ish aircraft, and we have a lot of ongoing activities right now in Canada, in a big procurement there. We have things ongoing in Colombia as well. We're active since many years back in India, as well as in Asia. So.
And not to mention Brazil, of course, as well.
Brazil has a long-term need clearly stated for 100+ aircraft. So what we've seen in Brazil is the first batch. We foresee that they would like to complement with additional orders. So some examples.
I can also bridge over to GlobalEye to respond to basically the same question, number of GlobalEyes, and currently we are in the production phase of delivering 3 GlobalEyes, UE, and before even the first delivery, UE is decided, based on the performance that we delivered during the program, that they have made a firm intent also to acquire 2 more. So a series of 5 GlobalEyes, that is what we're opting for, based on the dialogue we have. We'll see what happens, but yeah, this looks very good.
I think we had one here first. Sorry.
Okay, yes, sorry. Okay.
Har ni fixerat paketet på det sättet att det måste innehålla Gripen och GlobalEye? Om köparen säger att Gripen är vi intresserade av, men vi vill inte ha GlobalEye, så har ni någonting att offerera istället?
Det har vi. Shall I respond in English or Swedish?
It's English, okay.
Yeah. Just everybody will be able to follow that in a good way. We are tasked to set up a package responding to the needs. At the same time that there are a number of questions and information that the customer is asking for. So we are giving information so the customer can understand a lot about what the different parts in our offer is costing. So we have that dialogue. And if we would have got indications that, no, we're not interested in the GlobalEye, we would have taken that out. It was part of the first RFI, the request for information response, a couple of years ago. It was part of the first formal offer we submitted 1 year ago. And we have got no such indications, rather in the opposite direction. So I think that it was kind of surprising some people, because you talk about the fighter acquisition like that, the HX program, but it is a functional procurement where the customer is kind of describing operational tasks and what scenarios are to be solved, and that then each candidate is suggested or requested to come up with a suggestion. So yes, if they would like to buy only Gripens, that is fully doable, and we are kind of massaging and fine-tuning and optimizing this package iteratively with the customer.
So for the Finnish Air Force current Hornet fighters, it takes something like 20 to 30 minutes to perform full turnaround. So can Gripen be turned really only in 10 minutes?
Yes. It depends a little bit what load. The 10-minute is an example of an air-to-air, so where the weapons are kind of normal standard weapons, like Meteor and Iris-T for the long range and the shorter range air-to-air use, as well as the refueling. It takes slightly longer if you have heavy ground attack weapons or cruise missiles, but it varies between 10 and up to perhaps even towards 20 minutes in some specific situations. But really what you do most is more the air-to-air side.
Okay, so it includes some rearming still?
Yes, yes.
Yeah, for sure. What you do within the 10 minutes, that is a full rearming, a full refueling. It's just that if you have other types of arms, it may take some more minutes. So the 10 minutes, it's not all the different kind of possible types of turnarounds. It's fully true. And it has been designed for that.
Regarding final assembly in Finland, possibly, would that include the Foxtrot version as well? Or would those be built in version?
We have discussed, and I won't comment on the details, but what we're setting up is something that is, I think, smart and cost effective, and also it needs to build capability. And it may be so that if you look at the relation between the number of Echoes and Foxtrot, it may be better to concentrate on one, and then you can draw your conclusions. But still there are a lot of things that are exactly the same for both Echo and Foxtrot. So the differences aren't that big. And especially when we talk about parts production, I mean, the majority of all parts are identical. So you cannot really draw a perfect line on that.
Otetaan siitä takaa ja sitten siitä edestä.
Eli voitko kääntää,
Joo.
kuinka paljon merkitsee, että onko siitä käyty keskustelua, kuinka hyvin tämä GlobalEye-järjestelmä toimii maassa olevien taistelujohtokeskusten ja vastaavien nykyisten systeemien kanssa, vai joudutaanko niitä uusimaan nyt tässä vaiheessa myöskin?
So a question maybe rather to Fredrik about can you answer or elaborate, or have we discussed this as well with the customer? How well is GlobalEye integratable with the sort of command centers on the ground? And the current infrastructure on the ground, or do we have to do some refurbishment in Finland, of course?
No, very good question, and it's a very important question as well. It is absolutely vital that an asset like GlobalEye has the ability to communicate directly with the fighters and the C4I chain on ground. That is absolutely necessary. And based on the input that we have received from the Finnish Air Force, we have been able to sort of identify what specific adaptations we need to make in GlobalEye in order to make this happen. And for us, we have been doing integration for the past 25 years, at least, since we've been with so long in the aeronautical warning and control business. So for us, it's a pretty straightforward approach, actually, to make the integration, to make sure that the data, the tactical data and the strategic data can be directly relayed to ground and also to Gripen fighters. So it's a very important issue, but it's not a big thing for us. Yeah.
Haluatteko suomennoksen vai? Joo. Ja sieltä oli kysymys vielä.
The final decision will be made by politicians, our parliament, and there is a high pressure for getting work for the industry, especially because they are lack of work. So are you accepting if the politicians demand that 100% of the assembly will be done in Finland? So can you accept that?
Well, I think that there is no kind of under the circumstances or the right circumstances, we could accept certain things like that. We are not per se against it, but on the other hand, here we have a design to cost setup. We also have the delivery schedules that we need to meet, and in order to set up a production line, it takes some time. And that is why we see it natural as we will be doing part of the final assembly and part of the production in Sweden, because it takes a little time to ramp up the capability. So if we would assemble all aircraft in Finland, it would take slightly longer before we are up and running. And we haven't yet had any indications that it would be necessary to do it like that. So it's a little bit a hypothetical approach, but formally we may not be against it, but we need to optimize from so many perspectives.
There was this picture of the test aircraft 39-6 that has this cool-looking camouflage. Why is the camouflage very symmetric?
Well, it's a valid question. We've had a lot of questions around that. It's up to each operator how to design, and you can do it in many different ways. It's the 6002, the first serial aircraft to Sweden, I think you referred to. So dark grey and light grey.
I actually have an answer to that directly to you. So
yeah.
It honors, it is painted by Saab, and it honors the camouflage pattern that the Swedish Defense Forces use. So it's actually, if you compare that pattern in a much smaller way with the uniforms, that the Swedish Defence Forces use, that's actually, I think it's called M9? M90, yeah, M90 pattern. That's actually the, yeah, you should follow our social media channels, that actually has been mentioned.
And also when talking about this, that is not the exact kind of painting the operational aircraft towards the end of the day will have in Sweden, but it's the way it has been painted as was described here by Jan at this stage.
You can select any color, it's not a problem.
Even red.
Even red. Oh, sorry. Blue.
So you may have seen actually the TX or T7 Red Hawk. We have a couple of red ones.
They will be repainted.
No.
Okay, siitä keskeltä vielä.
Well, Saab is saying that Gripen E has black belt if you compare it to Sukhoi. What does that actually mean?
I think, well, I know exactly what you're referring to. Our previous air chief in Sweden, he was quite how shall I say, direct on how he felt the capabilities of Gripen Echo Foxtrot version in terms of handling potential threats in this area. And I think what was stated there actually is that it is designed from the very beginning for the type of aircraft that is operating in this region, aircraft that are violating our borders and or aircraft types for the future that such countries are aiming at. So these is really the background for the design of Gripen Echo Foxtrot, to be able to handle not only the systems we see today in operational use, but also what is planned to be coming in the foreseeable future. More questions?
I guess everyone is happy now.
Perfect. So thank you very much for excellent questions, and I hope you had an informative and nice evening here. At least we had. So thank you very much for coming.